What's up? What's up, guys? You are tuning in to episode 5 of Audience of One podcast. My name is Adam.
Sebastian.
Razo.
We want to thank you guys for tuning in into this episode. We wanted to kind of change things up on this episode, and I know last time we did have our pastor with us, and I hope you guys enjoyed that, just kind of the life of a pastor, and we just thank him for who he is, for everything that he's doing in our community, at our church. But on this episode, we want to talk about something different, maybe that's not so much church talk, but we believe that it is very important in your life, and something that we all need, and that is friendship. All right. So this episode, as we talk about friends, I want to start asking the question, or first start off the question of, to you, both of you guys, what is your definition of friendship? When you think of the word friend, what do you think about, Sebastian?
So, I mean, I would say like a friend is somebody that you can count on, somebody that you can rely on, but somebody that you kind of feel the desire to also help. So just in the same manner, like you can rely on them, they can also rely on you. So it's kind of like a two-way street, which is something that, you know, I always like to think about, that it's like you're on automatic. Somebody's shifting, somebody's accelerating, the other one's braking while the other one is steering and making the turn, you know. And it's like two heads are better than one. So like whenever you get a friendship necessarily, to me, it's like somebody who you can bounce back ideas with and can help you get farther in life.
Cool. I like it.
That was good.
Razo?
That was good. I feel like you're prepared. I feel like you wrote that down. To me, a friend is just somebody very close to you, somebody more than an acquaintance, because I feel like a friend is somebody who can run to me and I can run to them in a time of need. I feel like that's a two-way street. So yeah, somebody who I can bond with and talk with, and know that no love is lost, whether I haven't seen you in a couple, you know, like whether time has passed and I haven't seen you, like no love is lost, and it's a genuine relationship between two people who want the best for each other. I'd probably say that probably defines it the best for me.
Cool. I like it. For me, I would probably say a friendship is a two-way street. Someone that you can be open with, someone that you can be honest with, somebody that it's just not out of convenience to you. It's just not a one-way street that, you know, it just works one way to where you need something and you're always calling this person, but vice versa, like when you need something and that person is nowhere to be found. I think something that I kind of want to just touch on real quick before we move forward is just don't try to, I think a genuine friendship is not forced. It's not something that you're trying to do. And I'm speaking from experience, and something that I learned early on, and even when I started in ministry, really quick, just a small story. Like I was trying to force friendships that really weren't genuine. Because somebody either was a youth pastor, I was trying to connect with them and be friends with them, or somebody that was a preacher, and I was like, hey, we can relate. You know, we're going through the same things. And I noticed that it was just me. I was the one that was calling them all the time first. I was the one that was texting them, and I was like, wait, are these people like are they genuine friends, or are they just like cool? I guess you could say people that you work with, like in the city, in the community. So that was a bad experience that I.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the same manner though, like it's not that bad. It's not that bad of a thing if you're always the one contacting, because some people are more, you know, introverts. They're not reaching out, because in this relationship, it's goes both ways for you and I. For Razo and I, it's not. Sometimes he'll randomly call me, or I'll randomly call him. So it's. I mean, I guess you're just the good friend, you know, that people wish to have. That you're more reliable than per se somebody else would be in that sscenario.
But I do think it's about making the effort, you know.
I agree with that.
Because a few times that I've called you, maybe I've needed something, but it's just about making the effort. It's about saying like, hey, I haven't checked up on him. And that's hard nowadays, because I feel like we're all caught up in like our own daily life, you know, like being a dad, working, you know, like balancing everything, and you kind of forget about people. Shoot, sometimes you even forget about family if we're keeping it real. So it's about like the intention of just like, hey, you know, like maybe a quick text, maybe a quick call. But what you were saying is interesting to me, because one thing that I've learned is that not everybody's called to be your friend. You know,
Mm-hmm.
not everybody inside of church has the best interests for you, and that's a real thing. You know, like, and maybe not even inside of church. You know, just in general, like, not everybody has good intentions for you, and you see that a lot everywhere that you go. So it is important to like have good discernment of people and to be able to see through like certain intentions and to know when it's genuine and when it's not. And probably the best way of doing that is just being open to like, you know, just being open. And that's hard. That's hard, especially like if you're somebody like me who walks around sort of guarded. Yeah,
Guarded.
that's just a thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about that though, like how Razo, you're mentioning about having genuine friendships. Like I know some of our audiences are teenagers right now in high school, and I'm sure a lot of people could say, "Oh, I have friends," and even there's people that say, "I don't have friends." You know, I feel like the people that say I have friends feel like they have a genuine connection with somebody. As soon as you graduate, it's gone. And those people who say I don't have any friends just can't trust anybody nowadays.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean that's a hard ball to play with, because either way you're gonna go, 99% of the time you just don't keep those friends.
Yeah,
It's true.
sometimes it's just out of sight, out of mind. You know, like when you're in school, you see these people every day. Same with work. You build relationships at work.
Yeah, that's
true.
And the moment you switch jobs or the moment that they leave, you lose touch with them. Just
So it's like
because,
out of obligation, because I mean
Yeah.
you're already there every day. I mean I
So-
could say that I got a friend. His name Josue actually is his name. He was even there for.
What's up, Josue?
What's up, Josue?
Yeah. Shout out. Shout out, Josue.
Shout out Jose. He and I have been friends for a little over 7 years now.
Oh, wow.
I met him. He actually saw me. Funnily enough, he was the one that saw me first in freshman year. I was this goofy guy, you know, making a lot of noise. He was more of an introvert.
Yeah.
And so now, like over time, we connected through. Ironically, we connected through video games. So like now 7 years later, I still talk to him. He was there for my engagement. He was actually there for my engagement.
Oh, I
Yes,
remember.
yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, he was there. And you know, I mean, you're like, you're flipping a coin, I feel like, with friends, because you just never know. And honestly, with Jose, I wish I would have invested more time as a friend to develop that bond more. But just like everybody else was leaving, I never thought that he was gonna stick around.
Yeah.
You just don't think about that.
And sometimes it's just like there's a lot of people who I wish that I was still in contact with from high school, and whenever I see them,
yeah.
you know, like whenever you see them, it's like no love lost, just because like the friendship was so genuine, but like
Yeah.
life just took you down a separate path. I mean, my closest friends since elementary, bro. Like we're talking about, I'm 30 years old, elementary, second grade, and fourth grade.
That was 20-some years ago.
They're brothers. They're more than friends. Like, and you
Wow.
build like strong friendships like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's cool, man. It's cool to invest into your friendships, and it's good to have those friendships that are healthy and that are always looking in your best interest, of course.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I actually recently had a friend of mine. His mother passed away, but we were so close to where like even like his mom would like, well, back in the day, of course, being in high school, like my parents were working, and his mom would come pick us up, and she would take me home, or she would drive me to their house. And she recently passed away of cancer.
Rest in peace.
And I was like, man, like, and I just remember, it goes back to just memories, like, those moments that we had, like, of me and my friend. Like, it was like Razo was saying, like, those genuine friendships that, like, I really wish that we still had. But of course, I know family and friends, but those times when you do talk, it's like, man, like, I remember then, because, I believe in healthy, friendships are good for you. But as we were talking about, like, friendships, as we're talking about, healthy friends and, good memories that we do have with our friends, like, what would you say to somebody that feels like, okay, what's not a friend? Like, what's the opposite?
I think Razo's got a pretty good understanding of that. What you think? What you think, Razo? I'm just saying, bro. Like, you know a lot of people, bro.
Can,
you know what I'm
can
saying?
so I guess, can we just label this as red flags in friendship?
I mean,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
I got mine down. All right. Top of the list for me is dishonesty.
I like that.
Don't lie to me. Don't lie to my face. If I ask you something and I already know the truth, we have no reason to lie.
The
We're
truth
too
will
old
set
for
you
that.
free.
Yeah,
somebody.
man. No accountability. One big thing that I always think about that I've seen happen and that I always pay attention to is when your friend tells you, like, hey, I was with this person, they were saying this. and it's a repetitive thing because at some point it's like, why are they comfortable saying it around you?
Yeah, it's true.
So that's something I
Say
always
that.
look at.
Say that again.
Yeah, man, why are they comfortable saying it around you? You know, like
Yeah.
if it's a repetitive pattern, then you're most likely joining in on the talk, and you're most likely starting the talk. Same thing, you know, like it's the same thing when a rumor gets started.
Yeah.
I usually know that if the rumor is true, it comes from my inner circle, and my inner circle is small. So like the rumor doesn't bother me. It bothers me who it came from.
Absolutely.
Another red flag for me, jealousy, constantly throwing shade, joking around, you know, but it's not joking around.
Yeah.
Undermining and belittling.
I like that.
And then friends getting you into trouble and into bad situations. I kind of had to cut ties with a friend for some time just because we'd be going out, and for some reason he just wanted to fight the whole world. And
Dang.
yeah, man.
Anger issues.
You were
and
friends
so-
with Conor
so-
McGregor?
I know, right? For real.
and so like, yeah, bro, so, I mean,
Get over here, right? Get on over here.
and I think my friend listens to the pod, bro. So he knows who he is, you know. But like, it's just like, bro, don't put me in that situation, you know,
need
because
friends like that.
I don't want to I don't want to have to go just because like you know,
Yeah.
you just can't
You're
handle like certain
problematic.
conversations.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just gonna be
yeah.
problematic.
Yeah.
So those are some of my red flags right there, man.
What about you,
You
Sebastian?
want to take it
I
away?
see. Honestly, I don't feel like I have red flags for friends because I think there's there's a word.
And this isn't for friends, let's say. This is more for people trying to get like in your inner circle. Like,
Yeah,
people who are-
true,
I got you.
yeah,
I got you. I feel like I am. Man, there's a word that I'm trying to say.
Naive?
No. Like you're kind of like things happen. You're like whatever. It's just it
You're
is
just kind
what
of
it is.
compassionate. You're friendly. You're
There's a word. I'm just like I'm almost like numb to it.
Oh, I got you.
Because whenever somebody comes into tries to become a part of my inner circle, the genuineness, the wholeheartedness from me is there. No,
Nah, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing about something, but we don't have to go there.
Yeah, we don't have to go there. But you know, it's kind of like the wholeheartedness is still there. You know, I still develop a form and a holy level of intimacy with somebody. You know,
sure.
person on person.
Yeah.
But I remain at a distance emotionally. You know, I'm not emotionally invested into somebody so soon. It takes a lot of time for me to develop emotional investment into somebody. So whenever I don't really consider them red flags, because if I see how you're inconsistent or you just don't like to tell the truth, to me that's just the way that you are. That's not a red flag that I can say, hey, I'm gonna call you out on that. You got it. Nah, like that's you. That's a you problem.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle you, then you definitely can't handle me and my problems. So I just keep them. I don't really care about red flags. You know
And
what
I
I'm
guess,
saying?
I mean, to me, it's just the way I approach a friendship because, like, we can be around each other, but the moment I decide to let my guard down, my guard is down for you. And if my guard is down for you, it's like in a relationship, like I'll match your energy and more, you know, like I'll be loyal and I'll be honest with you and I'll be like a good friend to you and more. So that's why to me it's like important to like also always be on the lookout of like, you know, if like stuff starts becoming a pattern, just because the moment I let my guard down with somebody, I just let it down, and I'm pretty good friend. So
What would you say,
what's
Pastor?
up, Adam? Speak to us.
I got two things. Number one, friends that don't support you. That's a red flag. If you're always supporting them and they never support you, it's a bad thing for me. Just because I know I'm a youth pastor again, but they would be like, I'm not gonna throw any names out there, but like the only time youth pastors would hit me up would be like, hey, we got our youth conference. Can you
bring the worship team?
Can you bring the worship team, or can you bring the youth to our youth conference, whatever the case may be?
Can
And
you
I'm
preach?
like,
Can you preach?
yeah, can you preach? Or do you know I know you know so and so pastor? Like, can you tell them? Like, and I'm like, dude, like, can you just ask like how I'm doing?
How I'm doing, yeah.
Those people that like just are there.
How are you doing? Are you
doing
Yeah,
okay?
that's a good question. We didn't even ask that.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
pause that right quick. How y'all doing?
Okay, all right, we got to pause. No, keep
Pause,
going.
pause.
Nah, we
No,
I
won't
mean,
pause
it's a good
now.
topic. Go ahead.
I don't
Pastor.
wanna talk about it.
You're on it, bro. Go.
Well, I don't want to talk about it. That's why I try to skip over it. But it's important that you have people that, like that. To me, that's a red flag that they don't support you, or like if they try to take advantage of you, it's just kind of like, hey, let's go out to eat. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I forgot my wallet. Like, can you pay? Like,
we know a couple of those.
There's people that just
But how many times do you have to pay before it's a red flag?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good
Because
question.
somebody can
how many
genuinely-
times did the guy?
I mean, how many times you got Apple? I mean, you got. I ain't forget your
You got
wallet.
Zelle?
Anymore. Yeah, you got Zelle. I'll tell you right now, man. You know, you didn't forget your phone. You didn't forget your watch. Like now, you got your card on everything.
Nah, they do have to pay. They do have to pay. You can come back and
now
pay.
you're gonna owe me $20.
Yeah, right.
I'm putting interest on my pay forward.
Nah, but like for real, like that's number one for me. Like friends that don't support you, that's a red flag. Like that's genuine. Like everything that you talk about is just like, oh yeah. Like if they always like kind of just the situation or just the I guess the relationship that you're having or the conversation that you're having back to them. That it's, let's say it's your wedding and it's like, hey, like congratulations, but on my wedding.
When they're
it's just
always
like,
trying to one up.
yeah.
no
Like,
thank
it's just
you.
like
I hate that.
I hate
Hey.
people, you know, there's people that like, you know, like genuine. They're like, when I went to go preach in prison some years ago,
You went to
people
prison?
like,
Man, I know, randomly brings it up. That one
How
time
about your friend? I don't even know that.
but like, it's just one of those things. It's like, hey man, yeah, you good job. Like you preached in prison. Da, da, da. I remember when I preached in prison, it was just like, do you really like? Are we really friends, or are you just kind of like,
yeah?
are you just trying to one up me, or just kind of more like a competition?
I mean,
more than anything?
but to point it out though, like, let's say it's me, right? And I had already preached at a prison, and you were like, no, I want to go preach at a prison. I was like, oh well, congrats, man. I know it can be hard because I've done it too.
Yeah.
Well, how would you take that
That's
rather
that's
than
a
what
little
they're
different
saying?
though.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a little different.
but it has to be like a repetitive. Because
Repetitive,
the people
yeah.
that do it, they do it repetitively.
Okay, so like
It's an
if
always
it's
thing,
if
bro,
it's
like-
cycled, then the intention behind the
Yeah.
question.
Sure.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is friends that you can't correct. To me, that's a red flag. I know nowadays they call it like, oh, when you correct somebody, they're like, oh, you're just judging me.
Wow.
But like at the end of the day, like
That's a really good topic.
Yeah.
Go for it, man.
I mean, it's just to me, it's one of those things like, and I'm gonna go to the scripture because the scripture says like if you
Accept
correct those, if you correct those that you love.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be more like you should be more worried if I don't correct you. That means
Right.
because that means I don't love you. I don't
That's
care
good.
about you.
No, that's good. That's
But
good.
like if I correct you, it's because I love you. Like that's why I tell Sebastian sometimes like, hey, like, do you mind if I correct you? Because that's the relationship that we have.
do you ask him? Do you ask him or do you
At
correct him?
this point, you don't have to ask me
No,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of like built that to where he's just like, hey man, I gotta
think,
tell you
like,
something.
And even I like had a conversation with Rouse like, hey, how would you feel if I like had to correct you
Had
on
to-
some things? And I just wanted to hear what he had to say.
But then again, like it's and I told you that day, like you, I'll take it because you already called me out on something, and the time that you called me out on it, and not that you called me out, you were like advising me.
Yeah.
But I was very. This is very important to me. Be teachable. Like always be
That's
teachable. Because when you were advising me, I immediately slowed down, and I said, okay, let me listen to what he said. Let me process it, and then I'll act. And I did act completely different than I would have acted had you not told me that.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're not a difficult person to teach. I feel like Raza, you're very self-aware
you
about
are.
yourself.
You're
Yeah,
a little bit. You're a little bit.
I'm a hard person
Yeah,
to
you're a
teach.
hard person.
I
to teach.
certain people, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, absolutely. I don't just take
Just a little bit.
correction from anybody.
Yeah.
You know,
But I mean, I am a little hard to teach because it depends. Like you, it depends who it's coming from. You have to have credibility to talk to me and to like advise me. And if you don't have credibility, then I'm not listening to you. And I think you shared that today, about like credibility.
Yeah.
what does that look like
was
though?
good.
What do you mean by credibility?
I don't. You just have to be in my eyes, you have to be a stand-up person. Like you have to have
Like back up what you're saying.
You,
type deal.
you have to have my
Real.
respect. Like if you have my respect, then you can talk to me. And if like I see you moving some type of way, then like I'm probably like you're gonna tell me something. It's probably just gonna burst
You're gonna
off.
slide off your
Yeah,
shoulder.
yeah.
I got
But going
you.
back to not judging, like I'm not judging you. I'm just trying to correct you.
Yeah.
Like some people don't really understand that. Some people don't understand that it's not coming from a place of judgment. Because I've seen people around me do some crazy stuff, and I'm just kind of like, okay, like that's my man's. Like he's gonna do what he's gonna do. Like okay,
Yeah.
whatever. But let me tell you, like moving forward, so you don't make the same mistake. Like I'm not judging you. I'm just trying to correct you so that you can move on a better path. And when I have conversations, let's say with Javi, like, and I sit here and I like the same way that you correct Sebastian, like I'll sit here and I'll talk to Javi, and I don't have to ask him for permission. I'll just tell him like, hey, I'm gonna tell you something. Don't take it the wrong way because sometimes I'm bad at wording stuff, but like this, and that, and let's move forward, like doing better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, just it's not coming from a place of judgment, and many people see it like, oh, you're judging me. Like, no, bro, I'm just I'm trying to look out for you and who
it's
you're gonna
backed up
meet tomorrow.
scripturally, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you're mentioning, like I know I can tell from both of you because you corrected me too. You know, I can tell from the both of you, it's from a place of love.
Yeah.
And I think in the day and age that we live in, it's difficult for people to differentiate that correction versus it be that correction for judgment versus it being for love. I mean, I like to be corrected. I just don't like to admit it on the spot. Like if I'm in the moment and somebody's correcting me, I'm like,
Your ego.
I like your pushback though. I really like your pushback because it also it challenges, and I'm sure it challenges Adam to like, yeah, you know, like inside Adam has to feel challenged to sit here and be like, okay, like when I correct, you know, I need to do better. Like I need to say this like a little better, or like
he has to think about how to word.
Like, or I'll also reflect on what you said because I'll be able to like use it like moving forward.
Well, it's just I'm a pretty firm person in what I do. Like what I do, what I say is what I do and what I say. You know, like if I tell somebody something about X, Y, and Z, that's because I've already spoken to X, Y, and Z, and I also talked about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's just, I mean, that's how I've been conditioned as a kid. But I mean, not everybody's like that, man. Like you tell somebody something, it'll either just float right over, slide right off their shoulder, or they'll take it to heart. I don't take nothing to heart because I feel like deep down everybody wants to be better, and if you want to be better, that means you also want other people to be better. And if you don't want other people to be better, you're not in my circle.
How do you deal with somebody who corrected you the wrong way?
What would you mean by the wrong way, though?
By maybe
How
they
they-
were
yeah, how they said it.
demeaning, maybe
How
they were
worded it?
disrespectful,
Yeah,
maybe they like belittled you in the way that they spoke to you.
Belittle? Oh man! See, when I'm corrected and belittled, I take that personally, bro. Have y'all seen that Brie Larson thing? Is that a personal attack or something? that's what goes into my mind, bro. Because I feel like, and I feel like I can say this honestly and openly, that I'm the type of guy that if something needs to be said, it can be said to me. You know, I do push back because I'm firm in what I believe. But behind closed doors, what you said to me, even though I'm listening to that. You know what I'm saying? But if it's somebody who it's clear to me that it's intentional, the intention behind it isn't just correction. It's like I'm just trying to get onto him to like make him feel some type of way. I don't give him the time of day.
Yeah.
I'll listen. If you notice with you guys, I push back. If I don't push back with you, and listen to this, if I don't push back with you, that means you're not important enough to me to actually have a conversation with.
That's good.
If I'm just sitting there listening, you're just like hitting me, and I'm not saying nothing, that means like your word, you know, your piece of advice is not credible.
Yeah.
Isn't out of love, and it isn't worth me listening to. You know, because God gives you discernment, and I believe that the Holy Spirit guides you to get, because you're gonna get advice. The devil's gonna try to give you advice too.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
it's not just God sending people to give you advice. You're gonna get these wrong guidances, which is why the world is so corrupt, because you get all these different voices. But I'm the type of guy that if you don't got your stuff together and you're trying to get somebody else's stuff together, you have zero credibility.
Yeah, I'll say this real quick. I don't know if you have something to add, but if you always have friends that tell you what you want to hear, I'm gonna tell you right now, you don't have friends. You have fans.
Yeah.
And you know what fans do? Fans cool you off. All right. And see, that's the thing. Like people don't want to be corrected nowadays.
Clip it.
People don't want to be corrected because they think like their way is the best way, and nobody can tell them anything else. And if they don't like it, they'll tell you off. They'll tweet about it. This person was judging me, and that's why I think not going back, but that's why we have trouble in the church nowadays. Just like because nobody wants to take correction.
That's
like,
right.
I think I saw a post the other day. Like if your pastor can't correct you, then he's not your pastor.
Ooh,
like
man.
so, like that. You know, that's a topic for another day. But like it's true though. Like you need friends that at the end of the day they can correct you with love, of course.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have anything to
Oh,
add to
okay.
that, man. That was tough.
Yeah,
that
so
was great.
you know, I think as we're talking about like friendships, as we're talking about what's healthy for us, you know, I think one of the things that I want to cover really quick is to know the right friends that you need for the season that you're in. As we were discussing this thing about friends, I was sharing with him that it's important that you know the type of friends that you need for this season of your life. And at times when we have certain friends, like from high school, from, you know, even middle school, we talked about some of the friends that we had for a long time. Like some people love to carry on those relationships, those friendships because of of our friendship from 5 years ago, from 10 years ago, not knowing that, like, hold on, like, I'm in a different season of my life now. Like, I'm no longer that person who I was when I was
Absolutely.
18 years old, or when
Yeah.
I was single and not had a family. But I think it's important. I want us to cover that real quick. Is to know, like, the friendships that we need for this season of our life. Like, it's important that you don't just, like, bring in old friendships because of your relationship from the past, but that you continue just like, hey, like, now that I have a family, now that I have kids, like, I can't be going out to the club every weekend with you,
Yeah.
or I can't go to the bar, 3 or 4, times out of the month just so we can get drunk. Like, no, like, I got to spend time with, like, my family. I got to spend time with my children. I don't know what you guys want to kind of piggyback that on.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I can't really relate. Russell, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a tough situation to be in at times, because as we've transitioned, we got married young, we had kids, we have 2 little girls, and that was like a hard adjustment, I think, for my friends to understand. Like, we've been together for so long, and it sort of felt tough at times to sit here and, like, have them kind of like, oh, like, you're not making time for us, but it's like, I don't want to leave the girls, like, that's my priority. Like,
Yeah.
I chose them, like, they didn't choose me, like, I chose
Yeah.
to have them. My wife and I sat here and we talked about building a family, and, like, it's a big responsibility, and that's my priority at all times of the day. So when you're in that space and you have people around you kind of like, oh, we'll make time for us for this, for that, it does suck, because it's not like, just because I'm not making the time for you doesn't mean I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't, that I don't want to spend the time with you. It's just the season that I am in right now requires this of me. And I only have this much to give to you in this season. Maybe down the road, we'll be able to, like, spend a little more time. And as the girls get older, like, we do find a little more time to, like, go out and hang out with our friends. And also, like, in this season that we're in, we found ourselves missing couple friends. So it's been really nice. Like, whenever we get together, like, it's really nice for us, because, like, at times it also feels like certain people can't relate to us around us, because, like,
true.
not everybody around us, like, our group of friends is married. And at times it sort of feels like they can't relate. We can't talk about certain things. Like, they don't understand. So it's really nice to be around, like, around you, Christina, Sebastian, and Dom. And I think it's, like, really, I like that you're around us a lot, because I feel like it's also important to be around, like,
Older,
older
where
like,
you want to be,
relationships, to be able to, like, just get a little knowledge from them. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's a tough situation to be in when you're in that transition of, like, I don't have time for you, and it doesn't mean that I don't love you. It doesn't mean that I don't care for you. It just means that right now, I need to prioritize my time over here.
Right, absolutely.
So that's a tough situation to be in at times.
I mean, I like that, and sorry to interrupt you, Pastor,
No,
but
go ahead.
but also another thing that I was thinking is that if your friend and you haven't grown at the same level, haven't got to the same level of maturity, and let's say your 29, 30-year-old friend, Pastor, isn't married with kids, he has yet to have the same value and hold the same weight of my wife's at home.
Yeah.
My baby's at home.
Yeah.
Because for you, even if being so close, if I invite you out, you ain't coming, Roswell. If I invite you out, you
I'm asleep
ain't coming.
I'm at 9:30, bro.
And we've done that before, where I try to invite you guys and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because you guys have that responsibility. But I think what makes our friendship and what makes me the friend makes me a good friend here is that I understand that. And once you get into the seasonal people, the people who are out of your season aren't going to understand that. They're going to be still caught in the season that you were in. Like, it's winter and they're still in their bathing suits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're still trying to go swimming and it's freezing cold outside. There's ice on the water and you can't even swim no more. So, and to tie that shut, it's to say that if you're in season for hunting and they're still hibernating, they're not the right friends in this season. And who knows, they may come back.
Yeah.
Who knows, they may come back. You just never know what God does crazy things.
Yeah.
God does crazy things.
I think it's just like, I find it, like, just crazy when I see, like, people that, like, they can go on vacation and have, like, and I understand, like, okay, we need time away from our children, and I only have one girl, but I understand people are like, I need a break from, my daughter and my children, da 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 da. But if it's like you're always going on vacation with your friends and you're never going on vacation with your children, like I think that's where you need to find like, hold on, there's balance. I'm not saying like, hey, never go out again or whatever that I'm saying, but I'm just like talking about like you got to find balance. Like I'm not saying, hey, you never ever go out with your friends ever again, but you have to know, like Sebastian was saying, like, okay, you understand, okay, the people that I have now, like, okay, they understand that I got a family. They understand like I can't be, coming home, at 2, 3 in the morning when it's like, hey, I got work, like,
in the morning,
and it like goes for many different topics, like I used to, like I have a PlayStation 5 that's just like collecting dust, and I used to be, playing video games, when I was single, 3 or 4 hours, but I can't be, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, still trying to play video games when it's like, hey, I got work in the morning. Like, that's not me anymore. Like, I can't be on, watching TV. I got a family to take care of. I'm like we're raising up a daughter, and it's just like, it's like it's important that as well, like the season that you're in.
I will say, like, to the other side of all of this is a good friend will understand the season that you're going through and will adjust with you
For sure.
and will stand by you. They'll be, like, and even though like there might be that point of friction, eventually it's about accountability in the relationship, and they understand like, hey, like, like my man isn't there right now, but like he needs this of me, and I'm gonna be this for him.
Absolutely.
So I will say that like a good friend does do that, and it doesn't always have to turn out into like they just became seasonal. It's like, no, they like transitioned with you, and they keep transitioning, and that's sort of what I've seen with my group of friends. It's like, like even though there was like that rough patch at the beginning when we had our first daughter, like it's sort of everything just transitioned easily, and like we spend a lot more time together now than we did before, and like having time to yourselves too in marriage, like
Absolutely.
having time for yourself with your friends, like guys night, having time, like Mel with her friends, like girls night, that's also important, like making sure you have time with your friends and build on those relationships.
Building that desire to want to be back with each other.
So we need to plan a guys night.
Dang.
Top golf. Let's go.
This is snap.
I
I'm
have
like,
something else in mind, but okay.
Oh,
I
had something else in mind.
I have something else in mind, but okay.
Oh, okay.
Don't say Cowboys
no,
game.
yeah.
Talking about that. Yeah, the
No,
Cowboys.
don't say
Speaking
that.
of,
Yeah, not the Cowboys though.
Not the Cowboys. Sorry.
No.
Nah,
Okay.
sorry about that.
We're praying for you, Dak.
Yeah.
Wait,
we
so
love you.
are we still friends with the Cowboys? Real quick, can we just go over this?
It's a abusive relationship.
We're in it's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated. man.
Adam changed his status to it's complicated.
It's complicated.
Yeah, it's complicated. They put me through a lot of pain.
He put tape over all
his.
his Cowboy jerseys. Have
I
tape
know.
on the start right now.
Now I'm ripping just Luke. We're waiting for Luca. Come on now.
Come
Basketball
on,
season.
look at that. Yeah,
Yeah, he got
at this
eliminated
point,
too,
I know.
bro.
Pretty huge
Yeah.
right there. And I was telling the guys that I actually met them, not face to face. We didn't shake hands, nothing like that. But I waved and I said hi to him, and Dak turned around. I was kind of like,
It was
okay.
Sebastian's idea to run that play, and then that got hurt.
I told him, you better get your act together this season, bro. Win us a ring, because dang.
Yeah,
He's Tony Romo's son for sure.
for sure.
He's got to be.
Yeah, as we're going back to, I think it is important that we have like healthy relationships, healthy, unlike Dak Prescott, but to me, the most like, I think, encouraging, stories in the Bible is, and I want us to, if we can just cover that real quick, is the paralyzed man who had 4 friends, and really quick, just to summarize the story, as he was on the mat, as he was on the bed, he had 4 friends that were carrying him. And the Bible simply says that the house was full where Jesus was at. He was teaching, and they could not get inside the house so their friend could get healed. And to me, like, that was so encouraging, because like I believe that you need friends like that. And to me, that story always pops out, because Pastor Bragg, like, he preached a sermon one time, and he talked, and he had like me and a couple of others, and we were like carrying him. And I was like, and I remember it was like somebody at each corner, and it was like, dang, like that story just kind of stood out to me, because it's like, I believe that you need people like that. Like the Bible never talked about like they were focused on like their miracle, like, or for themselves, like selfish, or, oh, we just want to meet Jesus. No, it was all up for their friends. And I believe like you need people like that just don't care about themselves, but they care about like, hey, I want you to get healed. Like, I want the best for you. And like, to me, that story just stands out, because it was like, okay, they could have easily just been like, oh, sorry, friend, like, can't do it today. Like,
yeah,
well, I guess we'll
it's
go back,
closed.
like, yeah, like, we just won't get healed today. Sorry. But like, I'm still trying to figure out like how the world they got their friends like pick their friend up,
Put them on a roof.
put them on a roof somehow,
Yeah.
and it's not like a
These
ladder.
are straw. These are straw roofs,
Yeah,
by the
we're
way.
not talking about like an AC unit where you can just get it.
They didn't have forklifts or
They
anything.
They didn't have
like that.
forklifts. Yeah. Like I don't know how in the world they got their friend. Like, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't no 25 pounds. Like
Nah, he was
it was
big.
like he had some weight on him, but they found a way. They were strategizing. They had being creative. How can we get our friend to Jesus? Like picking him up in the first place to get him on the roof and just kind of finding the tools that they needed. Breaking off the, it was just a lot of, to me, it's a lot of work. Like you had to break a sweat just so their friend could get healed. And if we can just talk about that, like, like
Can
that's
we-
just amazing. Like,
Jesus is always gonna make a way.
Yeah.
Like no matter what situation you're in, he's always gonna prepare the way. For
Yeah,
you.
But
Like,
but
he's
you
always-
know, on that topic, the crazy thing is they knew once they got to Jesus,
Yeah.
he was gonna get healed.
yeah.
But it was getting to Jesus. Maybe the lesson the lesson there with with your friends is the journey. It's not the end, because you're gonna get healed at the end.
Yeah.
In this story, in this scenario, the man knew, he's like, I just gotta get to Jesus. And the friends were like, we're so desperate to get to Jesus. To what length are you
Yeah.
willing to go for your friend to go through that journey? Because somebody right now is struggling, and you're not willing to struggle, because they're struggling in weakness,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're struggling in selfishness. It's about being selfless, and that I think that's a beautiful story, because it really does show a lot. Like I would do that for you guys. I'm pretty tough, so I'll probably be able to put you on
that
it
also
myself.
speaks to like believing in your friend, believing in like we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna bet on you. Like bet on me that I'm betting on you.
Yeah,
and we're
yeah.
gonna figure this
We're
out,
gonna
and it's
figure
gonna
this
get done. Like
Absolutely.
Like I believe that in the end you're gonna be healed.
Yeah.
And that's like a really important mindset to have.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
between friends, which is like you're going through this, but we're gonna figure this out. Like
But you're not alone.
you're not gonna
Yeah,
figure
yeah.
it out alone, but we're gonna figure this out. Like you came to me, you have a problem, let's solve it together.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, so I would encourage you, like, get around people, get around friends that are visionaries, get around people who have goals, like, and again, like we're talking about, get around people who are gonna challenge you, or who are like, hey, like, and I know it's like sometimes we're just like, I guess you could say like ashamed, like, but don't, like, my wife, she told me this, and I think it's important, and I want to dive into it for a second, is like, she told me, like, we need to be comfortable enough, our relationship needs to be comfortable enough to where we have uncomfortable conversations. And I believe like that's important, that you need to have like with your friends as well. Like you need to have enough confidence, you need to have enough like genuine like connection with your friends to know like, hey, if I'm going through this, like, can we talk about it? Do we have enough confidence in each other or enough trust in each other to be like, hey, I'm going through this and I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to open up with. Like, to me, I think that's very key, because we're in I guess you could say like where people are like committing suicide, are lonely, are depressed, because they just feel like I got to take all on this weight by myself, and there's nobody to express my feelings or what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Sometimes you open up to the wrong people.
Yeah.
That's another big thing, and that's to kind of loop it around. It's about choosing your friends wisely to open up to the right people.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying? I know it's like a selective thing, and it sounds like, oh, I choose you, but no, truthfully, some people are disguised. They're wolves disguised in sheep's clothing. They're only worried about themselves. I mean, sometimes I can't see it. Would you say there's been occasions where Christina's been like, yo, like, hey, I wanted to give you some advice.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Maybe you shouldn't, not necessarily cut them off, but maybe you shouldn't give them so much of you, because they're draining you of yourself.
Yeah, there's been instances where, like we go back to like health, like where they're healthy. Are they healthy relationship for you? Or are they just benefiting from you, or they're just trying to get something from you because you're a pastor, and you always got word for them, but it's like, okay, but what are they doing to you? Like, are they helping you? Like, I was having a conversation with these guys, like, okay, sometimes like I just don't want to always be giving advice to everybody. Like sometimes I just want people to ask me like, hey, Pastor Adam, how are you doing? Like, not just, how's your day? I'm good, I'm fine. No. But really, how are you doing? Like, I know there's that, I heard this, I think Pastor Robert Madu said like, there's a saying that we say in church, God is good, and all the time God is good. And it's like, hold on, but I'm not God. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like
I'm not always good.
Yeah, I'm not always good. Like, God is good all the time, but
Yeah.
I ain't always good. Like, I'm stressful. Like, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. You know, I'm tired of the church. You know, you know, like to really have a comfortable conversation. It's like, hey, no, how are you feeling? Like, is everything good? Like, you know, how's your marriage? And it's like you gotta have that relationship, I think, and be confident with one another to be like, no, man, like I can't stand my wife, or I can't stand so and so, or I can't stand my children. They're like, oh my God, like I'm, you know, getting gray hairs. Like I believe that you need to have like, you know, important conversations like that.
Yeah, for sure. And going back to, I think that when your wife advises you on something, always listen to her, because she's another pair of eyes that you don't have.
That's
you know,
true.
like
Amen.
you might be naive to certain things, but she's not naive to that. You know, like my wife's discernment is really good. And a lot of times I should have listened to her and I didn't. And in the end, she was just like,
That's deep.
I
Setting-
told- I
setting
told-
another
shout out.
show.
shout
Hey,
out.
shout out Melissa.
Yeah.
Shout out Melissa.
That's one thing. Two, to what you were saying, we were talking about this, you know, but there's certain conversations that carry shame with them for some reason. There's certain conversations of, I'm going through this, or I feel this way, like mentally I'm here. And that conversation sometimes carries shame as a man. Like, it's hard to sit here and say, like, I'm hurt. As a man, it's hard to say I'm sad. And that's something I was telling, you know, like be open, at least with your wife, with your partner.
Yeah.
Build that connection, that chemistry, that communication with each other, to where you can say, I'm hurting right now, I'm sad, or I feel this way, I feel disconnected from you because of this, or, you know, because those are, like, as a man, like, not every man's is gonna say, you know, like many men just kind of like hold it in.
Hey, but not to interrupt you, Razo, but a lot of men struggle with that. You know, a lot of men struggle with that.
Like, I struggled with it in the past. I struggled telling my wife, like, I'm hurt, or I struggled telling my wife, like, I'm sad, because I wasn't raised that way. I wasn't raised
Absolutely.
to where I can, like,
Open
express
up, yeah.
myself and, like, say, like, I'm
Emotional.
hurting because of this. So as I grow, and that just keeps going back to, like, what I said in episode 1, you know, like, if I could give advice to somebody, is like, know what trauma you carry with yourself, because stuff like that just kind of hinders you, not only in your, like, marriage, not only like those relationships, but in your friendships.
Yeah.
You know, like know why you're in certain relationships, because in certain friendships they're toxic, and you're in them because, like, that's all you know. You only know toxic, you know, like you know a toxic upbringing. So now you're sitting here with toxic friends who are belittling you, who are talking to you the same way that your parents were talking to you. So yeah,
That's true.
But on that, staying on that key, I like what you said about you were, you know, that way before with your wife.
Yeah.
But some people may not know how to get out of that. How would you personally
think-
advise that?
for us, it was hardship. It was just a hardship that came, and we faced it together. It was just like a tough time for us together, and through it all, we just learned that we were missing communication, that we were missing. Well, I learned. I'm not gonna say we. I learned that I needed, what was the word that I was saying earlier? Accountability for myself, and accountability that I don't know how to like say how I'm feeling, how to like process my feelings at
Express
times, you know,
yourself.
like
Express yourself. Yeah,
express. That's the right word that I was looking for. So that was for me. It was just taking accountability for myself and knowing that, like, you know, like, I don't know how to express this, so therefore I'm acting this way, or therefore, you know, like, I talk to you this way, or
Yeah,
like
because
whatever.
people under pressure deflect. So I
Yeah.
feel like, at least for personally, sometimes like Dominique will tell me something, and then I'll push it onto her
Yeah.
unwillingly. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just something that you've got to learn to control, and something you've got to adapt to. Because then, just like you said, then you're carrying that burden, and you're not just weighing Razo down, or you're not just weighing yourself down. You're wearing her down. You're wearing your kids down, because
and-
they look for you.
Along with this, one of the biggest things that I like learned is that generational wealth isn't just about money. It's about breaking the like
Curses,
generational
cycles. Yeah.
like
Curse.
communication that isn't there, you know, like the curse, like being able to tell your kids that you love them. Like, y'all see me and I'm like super affectionate with my little girls, like, and that's part of it. Like, generational wealth isn't about money for me. Like, it's about like giving them the space that, like, we never had.
For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that's, you know, that's something that I had to learn too, is just kind of be open, you know, with my wife. And before, it was just like, okay, I was, like you said, before in the past, it was just like, okay, well, you know, even growing up and being even like a minister, a pastor, a preacher, it was just like, okay, well, okay, everything that I'm going through, I'll just talk it over with God and in the presence of God. Like, no, and that's good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's also, there's a reason why, you know, God created,
give you a
you know,
partner.
to have a brother, to have a friend, to where it's like, you don't just soak up everything. Like, to me, one of the things that like break me the most is when I see like these big time like preachers, these big time pastors like commit suicide. Like, or like these big time pastors like that have scandals, like, or that are cheating on their wives. And I'm like, you didn't have enough like confidence or trust in your wife, a best friend, to be like, hey, like, I'm about to cheat on my wife. Like, yo, help me out, because I'm about to go into sin if somebody doesn't help me out. Or like, hey, I'm really depressed as a pastor. Da, 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 da. And it's like, so even as a minister, even as a pastor, even as a Christian, like, we need to be like, yes, I'm go take it to the Lord in prayer, but as well, like, be open. Don't be afraid to like hold everything in, because sooner or later those emotions, those feelings are just gonna be like too much, and it's like, hey, I can't, you know what, I'm done with life. So
Yeah.
that's very important, guys, to remember that.
Yeah, you were gonna say, Raza? Were you gonna say something?
No, I lost my train of thought. I think I was gonna say like part of that too. Just, I guess I was gonna tie it into like growing apart. You know, like sometimes we end up in friendships growing apart, and you know, like even though I am in this space, maybe I'm not that comfortable telling you because like our relationship isn't what it once was.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean that's where I was gonna go to.
I mean, know your circle, you know,
Yeah,
know
yeah.
your circle. A big thing that we forgot to mention is that a relationship is usually all about trust. A
Yeah.
friendship is all about trust. Also, a big thing if you're married or engaged or you got a girlfriend, remember your girlfriend, your boyfriend is also your friend. They're not just your partner. They're somebody that you can open up to. And if you can't open up to them about certain things, because I get it, you know, as a man, I can see where it would be hard to tell your wife, like, hey, you know, I'm not feeling too happy, because then you'll be perceived as weak, and you don't want to look that way. But
Yeah.
but remember that you have to know your circle, know the people that surround you. Surround yourself with people full of love, full of joy, full of laughter. So that way, whenever you're in a moment of darkness, they can be a light. There is a light, and above and beyond us, obviously, is God and His word and His light. His light being for our feet, for our walk, you know, obviously. But remember that trust is a major thing. I struggle with trust a lot. That's the reason that I keep my people close to me, because I just don't trust people, and that's something that I'm working on. I mean,
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad way to move, because like, I mean, again, at the end of the day, like, the only person who has the ultimate best interest for you is you.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, you have to hope that like the people around you that you're giving the time of day to like do have your best interest. And I mean, I can talk to everybody and not hang out with anybody.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like that's
absolutely.
That's
That was me in high school. Yeah.
that's how I am. It's just like, oh, how do you know everybody? Like I know a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I
That's
don't
me.
hang out with a lot of people.
Right.
My
Yeah, that's
inner
me.
circle is very
Yeah,
small and it's very
yeah.
tight. So that's why I say like if something comes out of my inner circle, like it hurts, because it's like that's
Yeah,
who
yeah.
I've chosen to like, you know, like
A brother.
yeah.
But sometimes you got like a wound there. Like, for example, like there could be 5 people in your group and one guy. You just gotta let go. You have to learn that not everybody is okay to have around. If they're being of more influence to you than you are being of influence to them, you may have to distance yourself. You know, there's gonna be friends and people in your life you're gonna have to cut off. I've seen plenty of people that they've been dating for years, 5-6 years, and it was not healthy. Red flags, toxicity, just through conversation, you really get to know somebody, and you got to cut them off. I mean, and it sucks, but it's better to cut somebody off. That's a premature relationship. Cut it off, because once you develop the mature relationship with somebody and they do you wrong, that's gonna stay with you forever.
There's this perception of that I've been told to me that cutting off somebody is kind of messed up. But like to me, cutting off somebody doesn't like it's not messed up. Like if you think that cutting off somebody is messed up, like don't think that it's messed up. Cutting off somebody doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you're strong enough to know your worth and to set the boundaries. And the minimum boundary for me is respect. Like that has to be like the bare minimum for a relationship is respect.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry.
and it has to go, but you know, like I'll
yeah.
obviously like respect you, but like, you just have to like respect me too. Like, and if there's always respect, then we'll start building on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You ever had to cut somebody off, Pastor?
A lot of people.
What's your advice? I mean, what's your take?
Not everybody can go with you on the mountaintop. The higher you go, the less people
Unless
come with you.
people come-
I really believe there's people for you, and I believe that there's people for you in a season, but I also believe that there's friendships, divine friendships that are covenant, that are godly, that God created. Like, hey, God knew what He was doing when He put 2, 3, 4 people together, and the whole time it's just one of those things where like. And it is important, like that. I love that Razo said that, because it is important that you cut those people off. Like, it's okay to say goodbye to those certain people. Like, I mean, just think about it. Like when Judas ended up, betraying Jesus, they didn't allow him back with the other 11 disciples. They
They're
said,
like,
"All
"Nah,
right, all right, we forgave you. All right, you kissed Jesus on the cheek. That's cool. Okay,
You wanted some money?
yeah,
All right.
all right, fine. But you ain't coming back in the circle. So it's fine that you don't let everybody back at your table. Like, but I would say this: just don't be bitter towards that. Like, I was sharing this with Razo and them guys like before. Like, just don't be bitter. Like, you're bitter if you keep if you keep bringing back that person, or hey, yeah, or that person's name, like, oh yeah, me and so. Like, it's just like I don't know if y'all have ever met people that have like a crazy ex, like, oh yeah, me and my ex. Like, why are you still talking about your ex?
Yeah.
Like if you've truly moved on, you don't bring back your ex. Like, if you've truly like, hey, that relationship is gone, it's finished, we're no longer together. There's no reason why you are bringing up this person any longer. Like, if you are truly cutting off this person, you don't even mention that person's name. Like,
Absolutely
you know
not.
what I'm saying? Like, if you got to delete their number, like if you got to unfollow them to just like for help for yourself, then hey, by all means do it.
Yeah.
But it's not, at the end of the day, it's not just for you, Sometimes cutting somebody off is more beneficial for that person, because none of us are perfect.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not to say that, oh, so-and-so's not good for me and they can't be in my circle.
Yeah, yeah.
No. Sometimes you're the one that's a problem. So you're going to have to separate yourself, because that person may be too good, and say, no, I believe in them. I think that they can do better. And all you're going to bring to the table is being that bad apple in the circle.
Yeah,
Wait,
for sure.
Along with that, then there's also, because I thought you were going somewhere else with it, which I was like, that's actually a really important point, that like when you cut somebody off, it's also important for that person to know like why you're cutting them off, and that like what they did wasn't okay, and that they shouldn't treat people that way. When you set that boundary, they know that there's boundaries that they shouldn't be crossing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing. Nobody talks about boundaries anymore, man.
No.
It takes extreme acts. Like, like people, I've seen people like they're cool and they're tight. Something happens, they cross that line, and then they're like bones and knuckles, man.
Yeah.
Bones and knuckles, and straight up. I mean, I think it's important to set boundaries up front.
For sure.
Like, yo, I'm not cool with this. Like, I have plenty of friends that, I had friends in high school that they weren't believers in God like I was. But as soon as I met them, the boundary was set as, I'm a believer in God. You don't disrespect my God.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
Yeah,
Around
yeah.
everybody else, they would make jokes about Christianity and Jesus, yada, yada, yada. But around me, on the contrary, I opened up a Bible study group in high school, and they were the first people to show up on the Monday mornings.
Wow.
It was crazy. It's irony, but it's important to set that boundary, because it structures you and the relationship you have with that other person.
Yeah, it just begins to get unhealthy. It begins to get, we become bitter towards that person. And then as soon as you know it, there's like a war going on between not just you, and then you're affecting your circle around, not just your friends, but like their friends. And now it's like, it's kind of awkward. Like, we can, like, is he coming? If you're going to a dinner, is he?
That's hard.
Is he
That's
coming
hard.
to the? Now it's kind of like, now you're in a complete like.
Because then you got to pick friends.
Yeah. Then you got to pick and choose. Like,
I don't subscribe to that. And I'll tell you why. Because if me and Sebastian are beefing, then me and Sebastian are beefing. Adam, you're stuck in the middle, but you have nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
unless you start like giving input here and there, then
yeah.
we might beef. But like, other than that, I don't expect you to change with Sebastian, and I don't expect you to change with me. That's how I move. Like, if my beef is with Sebastian, then it's with Sebastian strictly.
I don't know, but my dad told me blood is thicker than water. So I mean, if you beef with me, if you beef with my boy Pastor Adam, if you beefing with Razo, bro, I mean, you pick a side. Naturally, you're gonna pick a side.
It can get like weird though, like like
It'll get awkward.
If you're like having a birthday dinner and it's just like, okay, like
that's
so you're
awkward,
sitting,
bro.
you're sitting at this side of the table and it's just like, you have a relationship with them, and even though like we're still cool, and it's like, oh, but so and so's here, and it's like,
Absolutely.
but we don't talk like that no more. Like
We don't
it
talk.
can
Nah,
get-
bro. Nah, if we're in that situation, y'all gotta keep my same energy, bro. Nah, I'm just letting y'all know right now.
Yeah.
But going back to, because I have something written down here. When you were talking about like that, sometimes it's important for us to separate ourselves, you know, like for the sake of the other person. One, you know, I had already said this. It's up to you to choose yourself. No one else can do that for you, and nobody else will do that for you. But whenever you said that, I thought of this. Where is it? Okay, which is, you know, this is speaking to like healing after, you know, like losing a friendship. And it's just, you can't fully heal until you've taken responsibility of the role you played in your own suffering. So sometimes that looks like, why did I let this person in? You know, like it's my fault for letting this person in. It's my fault for like letting this go on for so long.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like sometimes you can't really fully heal until you like sit here and actually have accountability for like the role that you played and everything.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's a two-way street. Again, it's
Yeah.
a two-way
It's a
street.
two-way street. Yeah, I mean, you just don't want to you just don't want things to get ugly. Like as we were talking about like friendship, I was just like thinking, like dang, like I'm sorry, like it took me out of like I was going somewhere. It was just like to me like the whole beef with like Tupac and Biggie, like they were once friends, but I'm like, man, like they let things get that bad to where like their lives both were taken out of just crazy, and it's like it like started off as just a little, you know, I guess you could say like a little conflict with them, and it's just like dang, like, and it wasn't so much of them too, it was just like those people that were like around them,
them.
like they were like
Escalating the situation.
escalating the
and-
situation, and it's like they were trying to fix it within each other, but yet their friends were like around them, they're, I guess you could say,
Bro,
coworkers.
his mom brought him into the cows, bro, and they
Yeah.
ended up killing each other.
Yeah,
That's
like
crazy.
to me that's just like insane. Like two friends that just were close, and you know there was no rivalry, and then became like a whole East Coast, West Coast, like out of just like a small little conflict.
1,000 miles away, boy.
Yeah, like that. To me, it's just like don't let it get like to that crazy, like where it's like, oh wow, you know, I was just like, oh, I don't even talk to this person.
Stay away from beef and drama, man. It's not worth
you
it.
start making this track song.
That era of YouTube is gone.
I kind of feel like Adam will have a fire track though. I don't know, bro.
On
I
the
mean, he's already rapped
beat, call
before,
me
so
Sticks.
I'm gonna chop you up. chop you up.
My one hit wonder.
where y'all want to go next with it?
So I want to cover this out because I think it's be a good topic, and is a question that I had for you guys is like, as believers, as Christians, and people are watching, like do all of your friends need to be Christian? Like what is your opinion on that? Like do y'all
No.
feel like everybody needs to be saved in your circle?
No.
Most of my friends are saved, but that's because most of my friends are saved because I was the Jesus that they saw in their life.
yeah.
You know, God used me.
So then they started out as like
So they
non-Christian.
started off as
Yeah.
just cashies. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They were just
Do you,
like,
do you
"Hey,
think
whatever."
that the non-Christian friends would influence you more than you would
Oh,
influence
absolutely not. I mean, if people can barely give me advice, then I mean, just kidding. I take advice. But like, no, absolutely not, because I'm so strong in what I believe, and I'm firm in the word, because I'm backed up by scripture. Most of the things that I think about and talk about. So I mean, it's not like, oh snap, like they can invite me out. I don't need to go clubbing. Never have been, never will. Like that's not me. That's not my life. You know, I don't need to smoke. I don't need
But
to
it's
drink.
not, but it's not like, and that's the perception whenever you say non-Christian friends, like that's always the perception of like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and that's not always the case.
What
you know,
if
like,
which one of your non-Christian friends doesn't drink? Thank you.
Uh-oh.
Now
we got one that got cut off. Hope he listens to that.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's not to say that, you know, if you do that, you're ungodly. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
I know, but like drinking, like, but it's not like the perception is like we're gonna go get wasted, and that's not necessarily right. Or like, one of the things that I fought my mom for the longest, because growing up, you know, like with religious parents, like, oh, you're hanging out with him, why are you always like,
Oh,
you know,
dude.
like,
My
and
parents chose my
going
friends
out.
for me.
yeah, and like, so
I'll
for
choose your
me,
top 8.
for me, it was hard because like at a time I kind of felt like really hurt by people inside of church. And like to me, I was just like, dude, like these friends are like way better to me than like
Than
people
the
inside of
Christian.
church. Like yeah, like or like these people actually have like the best interest for me. Or one of the things that I saw that really opened my eyes was these people like not, and I don't want to say these people. That sounds so bad, bro. Like those people, them
Yeah.
people.
Them.
Like,
Hey, them over
like, we
there.
don't discriminate
Them
here,
over
right?
there.
But like some of my friends have better relationships with their parents than like people inside a church because like because of how like people inside a church are being raised, like they're like shoving something down their throat that is just kind of like, let me figure this out on my own and let me see if like this is what I want for my life, or like no, that's a bad way to put it, you know, like
I mean,
Yeah.
no, but you're right. You're right, because then you take away from what God gave us. Because parents nowadays, Latino parents specifically, for me, they not entirely, but they'll take away what God gifted you with, which is free will. And that's very, very important, because then if you're raised strictly in church, it's so much easier to convert your life to anti-God when you were forced God to start your life.
But I mean, to me, I think that I would have set a boundary if my friends would have been like, oh, screw church, like, oh, screw your God, oh, like, you know, like that's not important, like why are you, you know, like
Diminishing
but
the value of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was never that. It was like they always understood that like church has been like a big part of my life, and it like it plays a big role in how I move in life. It plays a big role in my values, my core values. And so that was never the case, and I never had to figure that out. But so to me, the answer is just no. Like it doesn't matter. And as a matter of fact, today I'm more likely to like bring somebody into my inner circle that's not from church than somebody that is from church. Like,
Absolutely, I agree. I think it's important. I mean, I can't say that about myself right now, unfortunately. I mean, I just work and come to church, so I don't really have time to make friends again. Even my boy Josue, I mean, he believes in God too. But
Dom, he's your friend. Dom is your friend.
Dom is my friend. She loves God. Nah, but I think it's important to have people in your circle that aren't Christian.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is to show people the love of God. And then if you get Christian people in your circle, sometimes they'll have ego. And that ego translates into them not allowing you to teach them and grow yourself. They'll just be like, nah, like you're here, just stay right here. People who are outside of church, they'll be like, bro, go kick the world's butt. You know what I'm saying? Push
and
hard.
I like to be grounded, and that goes hand in hand with that.
Rooted.
I like to be grounded. I like to be. I don't like to have this mentality of like judging people, or you know. So I always want to like.
Yeah.
It's important to me to like, kind of like talk to like different walks of life, and like always like have different perspectives like in life. So
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it just depends on the person. I think I was sharing this with our young people the other day. Like when I got saved and I gave my life over to God, I was like, okay, I want to do this right. But I knew like because I was fresh, like even though I got saved and how you know the change doesn't happen overnight. I knew if I was probably asked, hey, you want to go to the club the following week, I would have gone. So what I did is I pulled myself from the city and I went to go live with my grandparents. I went to go live with my grandparents in the summer because I was like, okay, I want to be rooted, but I knew like I want to be mature in this thing. Like I can't be around those type of people. Like you have to know yourself, okay? Like are you easily, like swayed? Yeah, influenced. If you know like, hey, you struggle with this, like if you struggle with alcohol, like oh, well, I'm still serving God, but I was like, hey, you want to go to that? All right, let's go.
Yeah.
But I think it, like you talked about it because you said like, hey, I was rooted. Like I think but it goes with every person is different. Like as you were saying too, is like not everybody at your table needs to be saved. Like I think I was saying that like light can't invade light. Light can only invade darkness.
Yeah.
Like everybody that Jesus hung around with just wasn't like the holy people. Like if anything, he was trying to get away from the religious leaders. Like he was sitting with the sinners. He was sitting with the people who were like, adulterers and like people who just, they thought like, Jesus, why are you sitting with these people? Because, hey, at the end of the day, like I'm trying to be an inspiration. I'm trying to be, the light. And we can't be a blessing to just like those around us because it's like, all this is just church people. But we also need people that like, that don't know the word, don't know the gospel, so we can be that influence that they need.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because then you get to a point of like segregation, like you're separating church, your church friends from your not church friends, and then you create this unintentional friction between those two crews, because you're like, nah, like we don't kick it with y'all because y'all don't go to church. Yeah. Or now we don't kick it with y'all because y'all go to church, and the whole point is to break that ice between the two and create a bridge, so that way you can walk across and you can get to know each other. But that I think that's very important. And then as a Christian, it's important that you're around people who challenge you in the world, in the ways of the world. Because if you're not learning anything other than, oh yeah, all my friends read their Bible, or all my friends just listen to Christian music,
Yeah.
and you don't have anything to challenge you, you're never gonna get better.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
If you're always the smartest person on the table, time to dip.
Bless
Bless you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank
you need people that challenge you. You know, I love Pastor Joshua Rivera's like mentality. He's like, man, we hang around a lot of like older people, like viejitos, and he's like, people ask why are y'all always hanging around like old folks? He's like, man, because I'm just like gaining wisdom from them. Like they know a lot. Like you don't have to be a preacher like to give wisdom to somebody. Like it's just their experience. Like it's important too, like to know that hey, you don't just hang around. Like I think it's important too. Like you just don't hang around people your age. But I think you had mentioned it too. Like all my friends are older. Like
Yeah, all my friends are
like
older.
you hang around people that like gonna help you grow. Like gonna help you to be healthy. Like I'm not just talking about like church, but like to give you advice on how to be a father, how to be a husband, how to
file your taxes.
there you go.
That's a big thing, bro. Nobody told me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
priorities, man. It's just to me, it's all about priorities. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I do have one last thing before we end up dismissing, end up leaving. But what would you guys say to somebody who has been so hurt from a past friendship, who has been hurt from an experience maybe they had with a friend, maybe they had even with like, even a close friend, a brother they thought, a close sister that they thought. What would you tell to somebody that like they feel like, man, they're just putting up like barriers, like they won't let nobody else in their circle because they've been hurt by a past friendship?
It's crazy. I'm sorry that I want to go first. I really want to go
you're good.
first.
You're good.
Dominique told me this the other day because I was dealing with something and I needed a little bit of advice. Dominique, my fiance, for those that don't know. She and I were talking about something that I just didn't appreciate that was happening to somebody that was doing something in the direction of mine. And she's like, you know what, Seb? And I was just like, what? And number one, she's like, don't be upset at people showing you their true colors. Number one. But the point that what I want to use here that she said is hurt people. Mm-hmm. And it's important that you know that because hurt people can only hurt you because the only thing that they feel within them is hurt. So if you go to a church and they tell you things that are hurtful, that are rude, that may resonate with you a really long time, remember that person probably came to the church for the same reason that you did. And I know, and it sounds terrible and it sounds tough, but you have to be the bigger person to say, you know what? It's my turn to be in the presence of God. It's my turn to learn about God. I'm not going to let this hold me down because the words of man are weak, but the word of God is strong. We find strength in the word and we find comfort in the word of God. And just give it another chance. Don't be susceptible to pain, but also be tolerant to backlash, because there will be a lot of backlash and some people just don't understand. And me being a person who was on both sides of the spectrum, I'm sorry because I did it and it was done unto me. And I truly hope that you listen to this right now and you can walk into your local church or PDV, or you can walk back into your that work office and tell that person, you know what, you didn't love me, but I still love you. And that would be my piece of advice for that.
Damn, you left it like really hard for me because mine's like the complete opposite. Damn, bro, how am I supposed to follow up on that? Like, nah, we about to fight, bro.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Hey, tell us where they're at so we can go get them.
Give me their address.
Man,
For real. What church is it?
That was a really good answer, and I wasn't expecting that, bro.
Sorry.
Like, I was not expecting that.
Sound of the Lord. It's the Lord.
That's
Spirit.
God.
Come
That's
on,
Holy
come on.
Damn, bro. Now I didn't want to go because everybody's gonna be like, "Damn, Roz."
No,
It's
no,
okay,
bro,
bro.
be
Hey,
real.
we got different
I'm gonna get
opinions.
real
It's
with
cool.
y'all, all right?
Keep it 100.
Keep it 100.
All right, if I'm keeping it 100, don't be humble about your respect and peace. Like, don't sit here and like, you gotta prioritize that. And I have it written down. I said it earlier. Respect should be the minimum standard. Number one. You gotta choose yourself. Nobody else is gonna do it for you. So walking away sometimes, again, it's not bad. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of like you're not messed up. Like, you got to look out for yourself at the end of the day. And that is a really good answer, what you said, if we're speaking, like in the love, like if we're talking about like God's love and like the love that we should have for others. But just for me, it's just if it's gotten to the point where like you've probably had conversations with this person and it hasn't changed, like it's okay to end that friendship, like for your own sake. Um, Again, like protect yourself, protect like your mental state of mind. There's plenty of friends out there, whenever there's plenty of fish out in the sea, there's plenty of friends out there who are looking to like be a good friend to you. That's one thing. And then this isn't part of like that question, but I was thinking about lifeguard training. Like whenever, this is super random, but whenever you do lifeguard training, they teach you, when somebody's drowning, like you're gonna go out there and you're gonna save them, but this person's drowning, so they're panicking and they're kicking and they're, like their hands are everywhere. So they teach you, like to approach the person cautiously. And if that person keeps if you tell them like, hey, like Adam, I'm here to save you, like I'm trying to help you, I have this float, like stay still. But if that person keeps panicking, then they start bringing you down with them, then you're both gonna drown. So you can't save everybody. Like you're not supposed to save everybody. And what they teach you is to like basically like whether it's like excessive force or whatever, like get out of their grip, push them away, and then like try to gain control of the situation again. I just say that to say, like again, like you're not supposed to like heal everybody, like, and I know that like sometimes that's hard because we see somebody in pain and we want to help them. Like that's just like out of the kindness of our heart, we sit here and we're like, we want to help you, but like don't let that person bring you down. Because like you said, and I have this written down, you were talking about like hurt people. And sometimes you need to fully heal, like from whatever situation you were in, because if not, then you're just going to be bleeding on somebody who didn't cut you. So
That's good. Bleeding on somebody that didn't cut you.
Yeah, I'll say this.
I'm gonna get a tattoo of that.
Yeah, bro.
The other day, and I don't know how it popped up on my feed. It was somewhere on social media that I think because of the whole, like, I guess, like, remembering 9/11. And somebody had shared, like, phone calls that people were having that were on the plane before the plane crashed. And, I was listening, and they were, like, brief, and there were some that, that had people calling their wives, calling their husbands, calling loved ones. But there was one that stood out to me, and I was like, to me, that one, like, probably hit home the hardest. Because it was a guy calling his best friend, and he in the phone call was just like, hey, like I know I think someone hijacked the plane, and I know like we haven't talked for over 20 years because of this incident. He's like, and I know like everything didn't go what we thought it was, but I just want to say I'm sorry. And he just started crying. And he's like, I'm sorry for everything. He's like, and I know it didn't end the way that I thought it would end. He ended up saying these words was the memories that they shared outweighed the grudge that they held. All those years outweighed just the one incident that happened. And to me, that just like hit me because like, to me, there's something deeper. Like there's something more deeper. I believe even like when Judas kissed Jesus on the cheek, like it was more just than just this is my way of saying I'm sorry. Like I believe that you need that. Like I believe that you need people to kiss you on the cheek, like because there's something more greater. And people didn't even know at the time. That like everybody was like, oh, he can't stand Judas, and like, oh, I hate Judas. Like, but it was like Jesus knew what he was doing the whole time. Jesus knew what he was doing even when he selected him to be in his circle.
Wow.
And yet he still allowed him to sit with him, to eat with them, to sleep with them, and yet Jesus knew the whole time that hey, he's going to betray me, but guess what? At the end of the day, like, that's forgiveness right there. And I just want to tell someone, before we go, like, it's okay, like, if someone did you wrong. It's okay if someone stabbed you in the back. It's okay if someone hurt you. It's okay if you even have to say you're sorry first. Like, I just want to tell somebody, like, don't be bitter towards that person. Like, life is too short. Like, things are going on in this world. Like, tomorrow's never promised. But just make sure that you find comfort. Like, make sure you find, like, okay, I'm not saying, like, you need to bring everybody back into your circle. But what I'm saying is just, like, have forgiveness. Like, don't let it creep into bitterness. And now you're rage. Now you're full of hate. Now you're full of, like, just, like, mixed emotions where you can't allow anybody to be back in your circle. Just allow other people to be in your circle, allow you to trust other people. Like, hey, I know I was hurt before. It's just kind of like even in a relationship like that you have with boyfriend, girlfriend, like when you allow, you may have been hurt by an ex boyfriend, girlfriend, but you still allow somebody else to come in, and it's like, hey, like, I know I was hurt, but there's something more, it shows maturity on your end. It shows like, hey, that was just for a season, but I'm going to get out of this. So just keep that in mind. Y'all got anything?
Real quick to add to that, onto that, it's that saying of like, don't hold somebody else's like stuff on somebody else's. I don't know, like when a guy hurts you and the women are like, oh, all guys are the same. Like, not everybody's the same. Like, just because he did that to you, like, don't think that the next person is going to do that to you. And that's what I was saying earlier too. Like, it all starts with opening up your heart to that. I mean, it's a scary thing, and I mean that's the only way you're going to end up building genuine friendships and genuine relationships with people that have the best interest for you.
Sure.
Absolutely. And to kind of summarize everything, we appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode. Our episode today was about friendship, the hardships, the tough conversations that need to be had. Remember to be truthful, to be honest, to be just, to be fair with the friends that you have around you. Don't isolate yourself from people. It's never healthy. Man cannot survive without man. Unfortunately, you can't live life alone. Just make sure that the people you surround yourself are positive influences to you, and be a positive influence to somebody else. Your friend may not need any help, but they may need something else. You just never know. Always be there for people. Be true to them, but most importantly, be true to yourself. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We know you guys are watching. We know you guys are here with us. We appreciate the love. We're posting. We're trying to be a little more active on our social medias to have a more social media presence.
Comment.
Make sure you're commenting, because Razo will lose his mind.
We're still waiting for the first comment. First comment. First comment gets a lifetime subscription.
Hey, when
we get merch, y'all, we're going to be the first one.
Yeah, first comment, we'll get our merch whenever we get
We're really going to have to raffle something for somebody to comment, bro.
Honestly,
like for real.
even if you got to make a fake account,
but not our wives are good. Not our wives. That don't count.
Not Dominique, Christine, or Melissa. No. But seriously,
and not Mikey.
Or Mikey.
But thank you guys for tuning in. We
Yes.
really do appreciate it. We hope you're learning something from this. We hope you're enjoying yourself. And if you're at work right now, or if you're laying down in bed, we hope you have a good rest of the day, rest of the night. Make sure you're subscribing and turn on the post notifications.
Subscribe button.
Hit the smack it like you want to smack your mama when she makes a good dinner. But make sure you're tuning in. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss another video.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. Does anybody else want to say anything before we close out?
Thank you guys for the support. Appreciate you.
We love you guys so much. God bless, and stay
Thank you.
blessed.
Later.